Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio with our Positively Pipeman segment with Michael Barbarita. He is amazing with some powerful business strategies. So let's bring him on to talk about them.
Well, thank you for having me again, Dean. You know, today I wanted to talk about, well, let me say this. Business owners hate the numbers. They can't stand looking. They can't stand looking at financial statements. They don't understand them. They get blurred vision. They don't want to deal with them. So what I've done is I've tried to make it easier where if you just know 5 numbers, I call it the vital 5, that you'll be able to make about 60 to 75% of your daily business decisions, and with much more accuracy, and instead of winging it. And you know, you still have to understand the story that your financial statements are telling you, and you should hire someone to help you do that if you get blurred vision looking at financials. But if you at least have a hold on these 5 numbers, then and by the way, on a weekly basis, one of them on a daily basis, I'll get to that. Then you're going to be able to make better business decisions, and it's going to help you answer, you know, right around 75% of your decisions in a day. So let me go through those. And like I said, you know, these are just 5 numbers that your bookkeeper has to give you, or somebody, or you have to get them yourself, and you should get them on a weekly basis, with one being on a daily basis. So you should know what your weekly sales are. You should know what your weekly gross profit is on those sales. You should know what your weekly gross profit percent is. That's 3. You should know what your net profit is for that week. And you should know your current cash balance on a daily basis. And if you know those 5 numbers, you'll be able to make better business decisions. And by the way, the most important number out of all those 5 is 2, actually. If you know your cash and your gross profit percentage, that will help you tremendously. So I just narrowed it down to 2, but I'd prefer you to know 5. But I know everybody's scared about more than 1. But if you know these 5 numbers, 4 of them on a weekly basis, 1 of them on a daily basis, you'll make much better business decisions, and you'll be making decisions based on the numbers, not winging it, which is what happens today with most business owners relative to their business decisions.
And can you tell me why each one of these 5 is important to them making good business decisions?
Okay, so you have to, within a week, you have to know what your sales were, because there will be decisions on who to pay, what not to pay, and that type of thing. And by knowing what your sales are this week, unless your business is cash on delivery or something of that nature, you'll be able to understand what you can pay and what you can't pay. And also, you'll be able to make decisions like that when you know what your sales are, and assuming for a second that you're comfortable with the number, meaning not a bad week. You know, not if the sales activity wasn't that bad at all. It was a pretty decent week. You'll be able to make decisions regarding payroll, regarding scheduling, regarding ordering, whether it's ordering from vendors or just in general ordering products and services. So you'll be able to make better decisions by knowing your sales. By knowing your gross profit and your gross profit percent, those are kind of in unison. You'll be able to make decisions centered around whether or not you should do a job or do a particular work with a particular customer. Okay, because you'll get an idea right off the bat whether you're in the trades or whether you're just in business in general. You'll get a good idea whether or not that customer is worth working with if you know your gross profit. Go ahead.
And you brought up a big point there that I experienced too, as we all do. And that is, you think you're making enough profit, but it does depend on the client sometimes, because some clients need a lot more hand holding than others.
That's right.
And that eats into the profit.
Right. And you have to understand what your gross profit is on a consistent basis in order to make that decision correctly. So that's just another example. And that's,
I'll give one quick example that happened recently to me.
Yeah.
I rarely use PayPal as a form of payment method. Why? Because their merchant fees are twice what my merchant account is.
Right.
And everybody uses it because it's easy, but you're paying twice as much. So I had a client that, wanted it via PayPal, and not because of PayPal, and not because that's their form of payment. It's because they wanted a quote unquote PayPal invoice. And so basically, in order to make that client happy, I needed to do it by PayPal. I needed to get charged twice as much. And so now that part is not figured in your profit margin. So you may have to figure it in your profit margin for specific clients.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah, no question about that. And that's the thing about, if you don't know the numbers, you're going to wing it. Well, I might be able to get away with working with this client, but you don't know. You don't know your number that you have to hit, and therefore you don't know if that's going to be. You don't know if that particular engagement is going to be profitable or not. So it's really important to just have a handle on these 5 numbers. And when I go to net profit, I need you to understand if you're making money this week or not. I need you to understand on a weekly basis whether or not you're making money. I think you have to know that. Now, first of all, if you are making money, it helps you sleep at night. If you're not making money, then you have to make decisions associated with, how do I stop making money?
I think making money.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, I think making money is kind of important.
Yeah, it's a little bit. You have a T-shirt that says, "You don't scare me," but I think if you're losing money, you might get a little scared. So
well, and I'm glad you use this in your interview here, but the rest of it says I have 3 daughters.
I see. I get it.
Which one of my daughters got it for me. But it is true. It is true. It worked out well because, if you're not looking at the numbers, you better be scared, because you're going to wake up one day at the end of the year and realize that you thought you had a good year and you really had a terrible year, because too many business owners base how successful their business is on revenue.
Right.
And revenue doesn't make you successful, because if you experience a loss instead of a profit, it doesn't matter if you have $10 billion in revenue. If you're spending $20 billion, you're not doing too well.
Right. And that's the reason. You just have to have a handle on where your business is at any point in time, so that you can make better, higher quality decisions. And you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll blow off that customer that's not worth it, or you'll pay for something because you have the cash, which is the next thing. You'll pay for something because that will improve the value of your business, or increase the profitability of your business, because you can afford it.
Right.
I mean, it's just having a handle on it instead of just guessing. I see it time and time again where business owners are just simply guessing their way through decisions, when there's actual data that's hidden in their business. It's actually not hidden. It's pretty visible, but this data is there and they're not using it. And all I'm asking, and I know it's a big ask, but all I'm asking is just understand these 5 numbers, and you'll be 3/4 of the way there. You still have to understand the story your financial statements are telling you, and if you need help with that, go get that help because it's really critical. But at least you have the baseline information if you really understand those 5 numbers.
So how do people find out more information from you, and maybe you can help them in this department to make it easier?
Well, what I like to do, Dean, is I like to do book interviews. So I like to interview people for the next edition of my book because business is always changing, and I'm always interested in business owners' reaction to my strategies, whether it's good or bad. And so what I'd like to do is interview business owners. And if you'd like to interview, you go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the contact form, and in the message box, type the word book interview. And then I'll arrange to get a calendar link over to you so that you can schedule the book interview. And the thing is what I do, the booking is pretty easy. It's 60 minutes on Zoom. And then I present strategies from my book, and then I ask you to comment on whether or not the strategy would work, or what the impact would be of that strategy if someone was to implement it in your industry. And then I document it for the book, and that's it. And I promise whoever wants to do a book interview, I promise you'll learn business strategies your competition isn't doing.
There you go. And that's important because there's so many competitors that are doing the exact same thing. The only way you're going to stand out is to do something better.
Right. And everybody's and that's why everybody gets frustrated when people look for a lower price somewhere else, because that's the only differentiation that a business owner is giving a prospect is price. That's the only place they can default to because they're not showing how they're different.
Yeah.
And better than their competitors.
Exactly. Well, once again, you're a wealth of knowledge, and this was actually really, really helpful for people because you are absolutely correct. Most business owners, they think ignorance is bliss, so they don't want the numbers. But
right, and they're scared of them.
Yeah.
Like almost like the part of the T-shirt that I am reading.
I'm scared I really know how much I'm really making because I think I'm doing a lot better. That's usually what it is, though. You have that revenue stuff in your head and you're like, oh, I just did $1 million.
Right.
And that feels good. Doesn't feel good if you look at the numbers and find out you spent $1,001.
That's right.
There it is. All right. Well, we'll see you again next week here on the Adventures of Pipeman, the Positively Pipeman segment, with more powerful business strategies from you, the expert, Michael Barbarino.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.